That transition into adulthood, what did it teach you about responsibility?
The biggest thing I took away from growing up to like teens to my 20s and adulthood is that nobody's coming to save you. Whatever your situation that is that you're in, you're gonna be the one to get yourself out of it. So you really gotta hunker down, speak with God, and see what direction He wants you to head in so that you could get out of that situation. But again, nobody's coming to save you. Really, I've always had to be the one to kind of pull myself up with my bootstraps and really lean on my support team, my friends and my family, to really get me through. My name is Marques Peacock, 28 years old, from Bushkill, Pennsylvania, and I'm running the 2025 Philadelphia Marathon.
So tell us about the accident you were in.
So January 3rd, 2024, I got into an accident. I'm on the phone with my girl and I missed my exit. So I rolled over and then I climbed out of the truck and I was, frantic. I was panicking. I'm like, yo, I'm going to lose my license. I'm going to lose my job, my livelihood. I wasn't even thinking about my life. I was so worried about the job portion of it. I was having issues with my bladder. My back was hurting and I couldn't hold my bladder at all. And it was scary. I was like, yo, as soon as I put water in, it was just coming out. It made it very difficult from there on afterwards to want to continue driving trucks. So that was kind of the beginning of the end. Yeah, after this accident, I don't know if this is what I want to do in my life. I had doubts and thoughts of, did I make the right decision? And it wasn't until everything came full circle and we're sitting here now that it makes sense. And it's like, He did have a plan for me. What finally made me quit, I was just sitting down the road over here at the supermarket one night. Really one morning, it was about 4 or 5 a.m. And I had a text message from my friend who was calling me out because I had been acting different. I had done something that I wouldn't normally do. I went back on my word and he called me out on it. A friend of mine for about 22 years. And at a time where I was already at my lowest and stressed out, that broke me that one of my best friends was questioning if our friendship, could still continue. And at that moment I knew, if I have a job that's stressing me out to the point where people that have known me my whole life can barely recognize me, something's got to give. And I sat in that car and I cried and I said, God, if you can show me a green pasture out of this situation, I will take it. That day I got back on the track. I had been laying in bed until 4 p.m., typical depression stuff, sleeping in. And I heard the garage open. My girl was coming home and I was like, oh shit. Every time she would come home, I heard the garage open, no matter what I was doing or if I stayed in bed all day, I would jump out of bed, make the bed, turn the TV on or something, make sure I was washing dishes, do something. So when she came in, it wasn't like I was just laying down depressed, sad all day. And she was like, hey, let's go to the track. One of my friends from work wants to, go for a walk. And this is in early March. It's freezing cold still. It's second winter in Pennsylvania. And I'm just like, yeah, we should go, wiping the crust out of my eyes. And I'm like, you know what? I got to train for this race anyway. I already knew in my mind that I needed to start training because I signed up for this 5-mile race with the restaurant. They had sponsored a team to run the race and they were gonna do some tabling, get people to come into the restaurant. So I signed up being that guy and I knew I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of my coworkers. So I'm like, I gotta start training even though I hadn't run in years. We get out there, they're walking, I start running, and I'm like, you know what? Let me try to push the pace. I don't want to, embarrass my girl in front of her friend. And probably on my first lap, I just yak. I start throwing up all over the track. And they're walking, so it takes them, 5 minutes to get to where I was at. They get there, and then when I finally start running and I see them, they say, hey, did you throw up? Me being me, my cheese mill, I'm like, nah, I never threw up, not me. But yeah, that track kicked my ass and I was throwing up all over the place. And I started to regret my decision signing up for that race, but for some reason I just kept going.
When you heard just keep running, what did that moment mean?
So the day I went to the track and, I heard God speak to me, was the day that I received a rejection email from a job that I really thought I was going to get. Did 3 rounds with this one company. I'm like, yo, I got it. I have 3 rounds. Like, what? They're not going to tell me no. And then I get that rejection email and it broke me. And the only thing I knew at that time was like, yo, let me just go outside. Let me like blow off some steam before I break something in this house. So I went to the track and I'm running. And as I'm running, I thought to myself, why the hell am I running? I'm like, rent is due in another week, 2 weeks, or, whatever it may have been. Rent is due. I'm out here running. Like, I need to be making money. I'm like, God, what is going on? Like, why didn't this company want me? I've been, reading my Bible. I've been praying, like I started, putting down some of those bad habits that I picked up from being sad, anxious, and depressed. Like, I'm trying to trust in you, have faith in you. I asked you for a pasture. You gave it to me, but the pasture ain't looking so green anymore. God, what is going on? Like, why didn't this company want me? And the response I got back was a slow, quiet whisper in my ear that said, just keep running, son. And I almost hesitated to stop running. And I said, what do you mean, just keep running? And then I said, you know what? I'm not even going to question it. I'm just going to keep running until we figure something out. I went seeking for answers that day. Why, God? Why me? Why didn't they choose me? And I got that answer. And that answer was a test, just keep running. It's like, okay, like most people, they might ignore that and just say, yeah, no, that doesn't make sense. That's not God talking to you. But for somebody who's been through so much adversity and came out of it, because, God pulled me out, when you hear that voice, you just listen. You don't have to fully understand what it is. Hindsight is funny because we live life forwards, but it can only be understood backwards. And looking back over this journey of the past year, I see what it was all for, because I get to sit here now and tell a story that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to tell unless I went on this journey. It is truly a blessing to be able to run a marathon. Less than 1% of people in the entire world, ever complete one, let alone the amount of people who even get the opportunity, because, physical ability, mental, spiritual, financial, there's a barrier to entry to that. So it was a lot that could be said in less than a year.
What did running become for you in that season?
It became therapy. It became routine, discipline. It really became my anchor. I'm by no means perfect. I'm still working on myself in different areas. But if there was one thing I knew I had to do every day, it was to go out and run, because stacking those small wins definitely adds up.
What moments made you question why you were doing it?
I started questioning it when I was waking up at 5 a.m. to go run in the rain. And it was just like, what am I doing this for? I started questioning it when I started training hills, and those hills were just beating me down. Or coming home from work after working a 16-hour shift and then having to run 15 miles at 10 p.m. because, Coro said you got to run, and that part of that discipline is not letting yourself get too comfortable. Well, I definitely saw a lot of weight drop off. That's first and foremost. I was happy about that. I noticed my mental clarity increased. When you're down and out and you're, depressed and anxious, going through whatever trials and tribulations that may be coming your way, you can tend to get brain fog, or you'll have like a trauma response where your brain will block out, this negative experience. And I was experiencing a lot of that, especially coming off the tail end of that accident and quitting my job. So running finally helped me kind of work through some of those pain points, and then also take my mental clarity to another level that has allowed me to be able to juggle all these different things I'm doing, like, working 2 jobs, 2 new jobs at that, training for the marathon, maintaining a relationship, and, trying to network and build some sort of brand here that, I can use to take myself to the next level, because I've got a story to tell. It's just a matter of when and how I'm going to tell it.
What do you hope people take away from your story?
I hope that people can take a look at my story, see that you and I and them were just alike, just a normal guy, just like anybody else. We're just striving for success, not only in, life financially, but mentally and physically and spiritually. I want to be the best version of myself, and we all can do that if we, 1, first put our mind to it, 2, faith in God, and 3, apply the work and discipline behind it. You know, before you can even do anything, you have to see it in your mind's eye. You have to believe it, you have to think it, and you have to have enough self-respect for yourself to hold yourself accountable, stand on your word. If you say you're gonna do something, always do your absolute best to get it done, just so that tomorrow you can wake up and renew that contract with yourself that, hey, I trust myself, I trust that I'm gonna do what I say I'm gonna do. This marathon is for me, my friends, my family, all my coworkers, managers, supporters, anybody who's ever helped me in my entire life. Like, this is a culmination of all of that, because each and every one of those interactions and people have helped form me into who I am today. So I definitely want to shout out my boy Robert Person. He had released his first book, When It's Due, and I remember him talking about it when I used to drive trucks. I'd call him on the phone and tell me, hey, this is where I'm at in life, this is what I want to do. I came to the conclusion he wanted to be a life coach, but you can't be a life coach without having some type of story or life experience. He didn't realize, you know, all the trials and tribulations he had went through gave him a story to tell, because he had to go through the test, similar test that I went through, to be able to come back on the other side and tell that story of, you know, trials, tribulations, being triumphant, and now coming back to share that knowledge. And then that's what this book is for him. Shout out my run club, Techno and Tequila. Shout out my girl, shout out my family, shout out all my friends who, you know, supported me through all my different endeavors, because, you know, I'm always doing something different, but, you know, this year we chose marathon. I said, shout out God for giving me a breath of fresh air to go out each and every day and lay down 1 mile at a time, because 8-9 months ago, my life was completely different, and it all started with 1 mile, 1 foot after the other, and built up to this point. You can take it 1 step at a time, and whatever it is you're trying to do, you will get there.
Congratulations, man. Well done. Hey, thank you so much. We did it, baby.